So, one single game. That's it. That's all it took for the New York Knicks to absolutely set the league on fire. But here's the big question everyone's asking. Was that insane win over a red-hot Spurs team the real deal? Are they finally a true contender? Or was it all just a beautiful illusion? Something that some are calling false hope, masking a way bigger problem. We're going to dig into both sides of this thing and try to figure out what's really going on. I mean, that's what it felt like, right? Just pure, unfiltered dominance. They didn't just win. They ran the Spurs right out of Madison Square Garden. You could feel the electricity in the city, this feeling that something really, really special just went down. But what did it actually mean? All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we're going to ride the hype train and look at why people are calling this a perfect game. Then, we're going to hit the brakes and look at it from the Spurs' point of view. After that, we dive into the Knicks' own frustrating identity crisis. I'll show you some defensive stats that are going to blow your mind, and then we'll uncover this one really bizarre problem they just can't seem to shake. It all leads to the big question, are the Knicks the real deal, or is this just more false hope? Okay, let's start with the good stuff. The case for the Knicks. Why is everyone so hyped about this one game? Well, because it wasn't just another win. You could argue it was a total masterpiece. For everybody who believes in this team, this was the moment. This was it. Everything just clicked into place. This wasn't one guy having a hot night. It was a complete and total team effort. We're talking suffocating defense paired with a razor-sharp offense. The kind of performance that real contenders put on display. And the numbers right here, well, they really tell the whole story. The Spurs came into this game scorching hot, shooting 50% from the field, almost 40% from three for the month. And the Knicks, they just completely slammed the door on them. And look at Victor Wembanyama. The guy dropped 40 on them last time. And this game, they forced him into 7 turnovers. That's not just a good night, that's a straight-up tactical demolition. And this is why Knicks fans are so pumped. This is proof of what their absolute peak looks like. It shows that when this team is on, when they are locked in, they can go up against anybody in this league and not just win, but totally dominate them. That's their ceiling. But hold on a second. Was it really about the Knicks being that brilliant? Or did they just happen to catch a team that was having a really, really bad night? That's the whole other side to this. So this is the counter-argument, that the Spurs just didn't show up. They looked tired, they looked slow, they looked completely out of it. It didn't even look like a fair fight. It just looked like a team that wanted the game to be over. And when you look at the context, this argument starts to make a lot of sense. The Spurs were at the very end of a long, grueling road trip. They shot a pathetic 26% from deep. And their superstar, Wemby, had a night he'd probably like to forget, with 7 turnovers. So you have to ask, were the Knicks truly great, or did they just get lucky and catch a gassed, struggling team at the perfect moment? And this leads us right to the biggest problem for this Knicks team all season long, their own Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde personality. It's the one thing that keeps everyone from really, truly buying in. And that quote right there just perfectly sums up the absolute frustration of following this team. The whiplash has got to be insane for their fans. One night, they look like they can win a championship. The very next night, they look like they don't belong on the court. It makes them one of the most unpredictable and, frankly, maddening teams in the entire league. Yeah, and this slide really lays it all out. On one side, you've got the incredible potential, 14 wins in their last 18 games, a team that can beat anyone. But then there's the harsh reality. People still call them the cardiac kids, and that tough, gritty, defensive identity they're known for, it just disappears way too often. So here's the bottom line. Does it even matter that they can play like champions if they can also play like they're headed for the lottery? Could this inconsistency be the one fatal flaw that's going to sink them when it really counts? But just when you think you've got them figured out as a frustratingly inconsistent team, the data tells a completely different and honestly kind of shocking story. Because according to the numbers, they're not just good, they might actually be elite. So let's just zoom in on a specific period of time. Since late January, the Knicks haven't just been playing well, they've been statistically completely dominant. And this isn't just a flash in the pan. We're talking about a sustained stretch of absolutely top-tier basketball. Okay, just look at this. Since late January, they are number 1 in the entire league in defensive rating. That means they are the single toughest team to score on. Period. They're also number 1 in net rating. That's basically a measure of pure dominance. Oh, and get this, number 1 in assist to turnover ratio, which is just smart, clean basketball. You put all that together with one of the best records in the East, and the data is practically screaming at us. This isn't just a good team, folks. This is an elite team. Okay, so if the stats say they're elite and they just blew the doors off a really good team, what's the catch? What's the problem? Well, it turns out their kryptonite is the one team in the league you would never, ever guess. No, seriously, with a resume like that, what could possibly be wrong? What's the one massive, glaring hole in this otherwise brilliant stretch of basketball? The Detroit Pistons. I'm not kidding. The team with one of the worst records in the entire NBA has completely and totally owned the statistically elite New York Knicks. It makes absolutely no sense, and that is exactly why it should be terrifying for Knicks fans. And this isn't just one bad game, a fluke loss. This is a pattern of absolute humiliation. They lost to them by 30 points. Then, in the next game, they were down by 40. And then, this is the real kicker. The Pistons came into their building, Madison Square Garden, without their starting front line and beat them again. It is a total mental block. And that's really what this is all about. This isn't just basketball anymore. The Pistons come into this game like it's the NBA Finals. They play with this fire, this personal vendetta. It's like they're trying to send a message. They're punching the Knicks right in the mouth and saying, so what are you going to do about it? And the Knicks, they've done nothing. They haven't answered the bell. And for a team that wants to win a championship, that is just not acceptable. So that brings us all the way back to the beginning, that unbelievable, perfect game against the Spurs. What was it, really? Was it a sneak peek of the team they are truly meant to become? Or was it just a beautiful distraction? And that's the question that's going to hang over their heads all season. How high your ceiling is doesn't really matter if you have a fatal flaw, right? What good is it to know you can beat any team in the league if you can't get past the one team that lives in your head? A team you might actually have to face in the playoffs. So is that flash of brilliance we saw a sign of who this team truly is? Or is it something a little more dangerous? Just false hope.